Welcome to 5 Minute Friday, everybody, where we share our best tips and tricks to help you get just a little bit better every week. And this week we are talking about incremental change. So is this like the 1% better every day thing? Like we're going to tell everybody just always be a little bit better every single day? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Did I just spoil the whole 5 Minute Friday for you in that one sentence?
I'm a little more of a negative Nancy, actually.
No.
Yeah, well.
I didn't know that about you.
Well, I'm
No
keeping with the theme. I've gotten this nice little negative thread running through our shows on Friday.
Nice little negative thread.
So we went from parasites, which is really the little disgusting things, to then barricading, right?
Yeah,
So it's like, how are you jacked up? And here's how you're going to hide yourself from how you're jacked up. And then now,
Holy cow.
no, incremental change. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's the funny thing. When you were noticing your parasites, it's interesting. We don't just up and like fall off the table one day, right? Things most of the time take a minute to get deep seated into your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't start like by saying, oh, I'm going to just up and be this. We just sometimes, wake up, smell the roses and just realize, this is really not who I plan to be.
I listened to a podcast episode. Jordan Harbinger, he interviewed Terry Crews, which let me just take a second here. Terry Crews is like one of my favorite humans ever. That guy's freaking awesome. Like just as a not as an actor or like any of that stuff. Like yeah, has had great accomplishments there, but just as a man,
Just
like
as a dude.
as a guy, pretty incredible human being.
Sure.
And he was talking about how I think it was after he got done with football that he just he stopped going to the gym, he stopped working out, that sort of thing. And then I think it was like 6-8 months later or something, his wife walked up next to him and pinched the back fat that he had just kind of dangling there. And it just was a moment of holy crap, I've let myself go. It's an incremental change though. It's he didn't go 1 week, then he didn't go 2 weeks, then he didn't go 3 weeks. And then, oh my gosh, I actually weigh 20 or 30 pounds more than 6 months ago. What in the world? And that doesn't happen overnight, guys. We know that.
Yep.
It takes a minute to get there, but it also takes a minute to get out of that too. Mm-hmm. And I think we often forget that it takes a lot of time to backtrack and get back on the right course. So I don't know. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but that's kind of what I'm thinking here.
Good example. I'd go you with relationships. A lot of times this can happen in relationships. I'll get real for a minute. For all you travelers out there, infidelity can be this huge thing, right?
Yeah.
And so just speaking to that a moment, a lot of times opportunity is one of the key ingredients to that. Yeah. And unfortunately, with travel comes a lot of that. You need to be putting up barricades. You need to be guarding yourself. And you need to be watching how you're incrementally, pushing that object closer and closer to the edge of the table.
Right.
Because you nudge it over, you nudge it over, you nudge it over. And then all of a sudden the shoe drops. Yeah. Well, guess what? You've been nudging it for 6 months. You've been nudging it for a year. You've been nudging it for 3 years. And, that might be in the form of just having a few more drinks, taking a little more liberality with who you're with, what you're going to do while you're on the road, whatever, or may just come in the form of just not quite being as honest with your spouse. So there are little things relationally that we might want to look at and just say, hey, it's amazing how over the course of time we can incrementally put ourselves in a place we never plan on being. Mm-hmm. And then we've got to point at it. We've got to recognize it. And then you're right. It takes almost the equal amount of time to work yourself back out.
Right.
If not longer, because trust takes a long time to build up.
We've talked about this before, I think.
But then can be destroyed almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
And this is applicable to me if you're a parent. This is applicable to me as a spouse. This is applicable to me, just as an individual and the things that you intend to be as a person.
Right.
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 And there is a positive side of this. That 1% better totally is, but you can also get 1% worse every day.
This is true.
And it's amazing how 1% worse, 1%, it can start to take a little bit of a nosedive on you, and then you just realize, oh man, here I am.
The positive values get completely reversed by the negative values, right? So if I'm 1% better as just from a health standpoint, right? Maybe I'm 1% better there, but maybe I'm like negative 2% better as a husband or as a father. It's like that pushes us the other direction. So it's like you're constantly having to be aware of like you're pushing yourself 1% further, but hey, sometimes you're also going negative in other areas.
Yeah, why highlight the negative? Why be that way? When you think about calories, your calorie intake on the day. Let's say that you're supposed to take in 2,000 calories in a day.
Right.
And if you take in 2,500 calories in a day, and you do that for a week, and you do that for a month, and you do that for a year, you're going to put on weight. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that's the way it works. And I'm not trying to be a nutritionist here, but it's much easier to be that far over your caloric budget than to be 500 calories under your caloric budget.
Oh, yeah.
You're 500 calories under your caloric budget. You're like, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to die. It's way easier to do the negative side of things.
And it was so easy for me the other day. So we had our first Friday here downtown.
Yeah.
Right? It's great. Everybody's out and about and walking around and stuff. It's great. So there's this girl who goes to our church, and she has a cookie company. It's called The Cookie Company. And it's freaking amazing. Caitlin's killing it. And those cookies are, holy crap, man. Yeah, it was really easy for me to go like 2,000 calories over that day. Like there are certain things where like I need it in my life.
Which is like
super easy.
Okay.
Super easy.
You had a good Friday night.
It's a good Friday night.
Are you going to recognize that and like just and pull it back? Or are you going to go, habitually start to edge over? Yeah. And it's the binges are way easier to notice.
Oh yeah.
When you're like, oh my gosh, I should be ashamed of myself. A lot of times those things are easier to notice than the things that we're like just gradually gravitating day over day. I mean, 1% per day, it only takes 10 days and you're 10% worse.
Yeah.
So this stuff is real. I don't even think it happens in 1% increments. I think it happens in tenths and hundredths, and because it's like much. That's something I might even say, pulling a little bit of age rank on you, that at 43 there's more time to pick up baggage and bad habits if you allow it.
Oh yeah.
There's much more time, and I think there can be a great awakening and almost a reckoning in middle age where you're like, oh geez. You have that Terry Crews moment.
You see a lot of people become very, very cynical as they get older too, like as a result of some of those things that they've picked up along the way. It's easy to become cynical and just mean. You got to work really hard to go the reverse of that and stay happy and positive and all those things.
Yeah, it takes effort.
It takes a lot of effort for you, I know,
to
stay positive, because I mean you're so negative constantly, man.
All the time. So I'm incrementally going to try to just get us out of these negative
Let me just like
in the future
tear you down a little bit, and that'll help me feel a little bit better. How about that? Is that right?
Ty, I've been meaning to tell you this, but I really do suck. I'm so horrible.
We both suck in our own special ways. Mom thinks we're perfect, though. Don't you, Mom?
Mom loves us.
Mom loves us. All right, guys. All right, guys. Well, I hope that was some good food for thought. We're going to try to get out of these negative conversations and try to spin a more positive light on the situation coming down the road here in the next 5-Minute Fridays. But hey, we'd love your feedback. If you've got anything else, like any questions, anything like that, based off of this episode or any of our previous episodes, feel free to call us. You can reach us at 512-THE-BROS. Leave us a voicemail. Love to hear who it is, a name, and then just leave us a quick email as well, so that we can let you know that, hey, we used your question on air, and you can share it with a friend or just enjoy it on your own. Just or show it to like your spouse or something. Be like, oh my gosh, the Construction Bros mentioned us, and your spouse goes, who the flip are those guys?
Huh?
What? Because that's happened like already, and I think it's hilarious. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, go build something awesome this week. We'll catch you later.